to survive the classroom.
Let's listen to what was sent in this week.
Okay, so this is actually a nice story, not a bad story. My very first year teaching, I taught half-time special ed, and I had a grade 7 student named, we'll call her Catherine, and I was helping her out, one-on-one help, and one day she started crying while we were doing geography. And I asked her what's wrong, and she said she was crying because she doesn't understand this. And then I said, nobody cries this hard because they don't understand how mountains are formed. So she proceeded to tell me that she's by far the tallest kid in the whole grade. She has a learning disability. Her dad has cancer. Her mom's had to go back to work, and she just found out that she needs to go get braces. By this point, I'm tearing up too. And I said, yeah, your life does kind of suck right now. And we bonded after that. And I taught her for the next couple years. And even after she left the school, we kept in touch and she asked me for help. And then in high school, she got scouted to be a model and became a model. But when they wanted her to go overseas, she said no, she wants to become a nurse because of all the nurses that helped her dad. We then lost touch a little bit. Fast forward a few years, and my sister was in the hospital for some mental health reasons. And I went to go visit her, and she said, oh, here comes my nurse. I want you to meet her. She's really nice. And who should walk in but my student, Catherine. And the two of us sort of instantly knew that we needed to pretend that we didn't know each other. But we reconnected afterwards, and she's gone on to do master's degrees and all sorts of wonderful things. And I just feel so blessed that she was my student.
That is so sweet. Like what an incredible gift to run into them years later after, especially like man, and I life does feel, especially like middle school. I think that is the time where life is the hardest. I remember specifically being in like 7th, 8th grade and everything feels really big, right? Like all the things in your life feel really big. And that student in particular, Catherine, had actual really big things, right? To have a parent that has cancer. And then like there's the smaller things of, and now I have to get braces and I'm the tallest girl in class. But even the braces and tallest girl in class at that age, like feels so big and feels so frustrating. I just remember like everything just felt insurmountable at that age. So I love that you shared that you guys kind of connected and then it came back around. That is, I think, the really like the core of the gift of teaching. I'm right now working on the last couple of chapters of my book, and I'm talking a lot about I do have a chapter that talks about like when do you know it's maybe time not to be a teacher anymore? Because I've never seen a teacher book that has that. I've never seen a teacher book that acknowledges the fact that for some people it might not be a forever career. And I want to be honest enough to talk about that and to talk about why for some people it's a good idea to step away from the classroom. And so I have that in a chapter. And then that was like kind of scheduled to be my last chapter. And I was like, oh, that's awful. Like, I can't end it that way. That sounds so depressing. And so I kind of went back and I adjusted it so that the last chapter now is going to be a chapter about the way that teaching is about hope. And I've said this a lot. I've said it a lot in my keynote speeches and stuff like that, that teaching is an act of like defiant hope, because for kids like that who are really going through it, like life is a struggle, learning is hard, your parents are sick, you're feeling awkward and super tall, and then you need braces. So you're tall and you have braces, which for a girl in middle school sounds like torture. Like all of those things, like giving them hope and being like, yeah, like don't gaslight them and tell them life is perfect for them. Like, no, like, yeah, it's pretty hard right now. But giving them the hope of like, yeah, but the fact that she got the opportunity to like be a model because that height that she hated actually ended up being incredibly helpful. I just love that we get to be those people for our students where we get to have those conversations of like, hey, Yeah, so, things haven't been great. However, they might get great, and what an exciting thing that is. And a big thing that I talk about in that chapter as well is the fact that, I get very stressed out by the news. I get stressed out by all of the things like, you turn on the news and everything's depressing, and it feels so overwhelming, and it's like, "What am I gonna do?" Like, there are some things that we can do in our communities and stuff, but usually they're, like, big things like attending a march, writing a letter, phone call, stuff like that. But I'm like, "Okay, what can I do today?" Like, because I have to go to work, right? I have kids, I have to go to work. I can't, like, my schedule is pretty full, taking care of my family, taking care of my classes. And so I feel like teaching is such a wonderful act of defiance against the bad in the world, and that we get to be the people that, even though there's all the bad outside of our classroom, that we get to be the people who are actually with our students, helping them kind of navigate things that are super, super hard. And as somebody who has ADHD and didn't realize it until they were an adult, I think it's especially helpful that we now have so many examples of people who have like different things going on with their brains and are incredibly successful, because the traditional academic classroom doesn't always lend itself to people with ADHD or people with other learning disabilities. So it's exciting that we now have access to those stories as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. That is the absolute sweetest. And I love to hear when we have something like that where the student, like, it comes all around and you get to see where that student ended up. All right, let's go ahead and listen to the second voice memo that was sent in this week. Thank you so much for watching. Want more of How to Survive the Classroom? You can watch the rest of the episode right now. Just click on that little box over there. Do you see it? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.